Peace, love, and blessings, fam. Day 33 of Wisdom of the Ages by Wayne W. Dyer. If you've missed any of the previous recordings, you can go and check them out on YouTube at Loyalty Life, spelled Lyfe Legacy LLC. If they're not posted on Instagram or Facebook, go check TikTok or YouTube. I post them there first for particular reasons that most content creators will understand. But to not go all into the details and elements of that, let's get into day number 33. Perfection. The years at the spring and the days at the morn. Mornings at 7 and hillsides dew pearled. The larks on the wing, the snails on the thorn. God's in heaven, all's right in the world. Robert Browning. The English poet whose romance and marriage to Elizabeth Barrett was told in the play The Barretts of Wimpole Street. Robert Browning enjoyed enormous success with the publication of The Ring and the Book after 40 years of writing sensitive poetry. Robert Browning and his equally famous wife, Elizabeth Barrett Browning, were Victorian poets who were faulted for the spiritual and metaphysical optimism they expressed in their poetry and dramatic writing. A century and more after his death, Robert Browning's 8-line masterpiece reflects that metaphysical optimism for which he was so chastised in his lifetime. Browning speaks of a majestic awe and perfection in the universe as if he is saying to us, take a look around you. Everything is just as it should be. If you appreciate Browning, then you agree with him that springtime and morning are miraculous to behold. They represent the birth of new life, which remains a mystery. A heart starts beating inside a mother's womb a few weeks after conception, and all our greatest scientific and pessimistic observers are totally mystified. Where was this life before? Where will it go after here? What begins it? What stops it? Why? These questions baffle the critics and are the wellspring of great poetry. The very essence of living one's life, feeling awe rather than awful, is to see the simple spiritual truth in Browning's poetic observation. The dew still covers the hillside, even though the poet is buried beneath it, and the lark flies above all graves. The divine creator of all in his heaven and all rights with the world. Anything you observe that is inconsistent with Robert Browning's poetic observation is not the fault of the divine creator of all. Rather than seeing ourselves as connected to this world, we often feel we are in it to push it around and make it conform to us. Rather than accepting it, we twist it to feed our ego, creating havoc, imbalance, and what we then call imperfection. Then, the ultimate irony, we blame the divine creator of all for the very conditions we create out of the perfection that is our gift from the divine creator of all. The poet says, be at peace. Don't judge the world, observe it. Don't try to straighten it out. Accept the perfection of its crookedness and live in harmony with it. Don't manufacture problems. Be in awe of the perfection of it all. In another passage, Robert Browning observes, all the wonder and wealth of the mind in the heart of one gem. In the care of one pearl, all the shade and the shine of the sea. Truth that's brighter than gem. Trust that's purer than pearl. He is asking us to look at our world with new eyes. Eyes that are filled with wonder at the miracle that is in every cubic inch of space. Eyes that are moist with appreciation for the truth and trust that transcend their material counterparts called gems and pearls. A vision that is void of judgment and focused on the dazzling landscape can change any day that is filled with depression, anxiety, or stress. To imply that the world is perfect is to draw the ire of many social commentators who prefer to notice a multitude of imperfections. They they focus on all that is wrong with the world and encourage us to do the same, and thus to become part of the large number of people who despair over the imperfection of the world. To those who say, all's right in the world, as Robert Browning does, there will be a truckload of skeptics to tell you how absurd your thinking is, just as there were in the Victorian days, when critics pointed to slavery, economic disasters, and warfare as their response. Yet, Browning chose to look beyond the man-made world, and this is what I encourage you to do as well. Look to the perfection that is the universe of which you are part and parcel. See how the earth continues to orbit and hurl through space independent of your and everyone else's opinions about it. See how every single day, mornings at 7, and go back through all of the isms that have tried, failed, and tried again, and still mornings at 7. The hillsides dew pearled. This is really only a simple turnabout from noticing what's wrong to noticing the perfection of our world. For instance, consider the necessity of lightning-inspired forest fires over the centuries for the proper maintenance of the ecological balance. We have a tendency to say God shouldn't burn down our forests, or blow so hard as to create hurricanes, or rumble about so as to incur earthquakes. We think these things should not occur, yet they too are a part of the perfection of it all. And when we see them from a larger perspective, we begin to acknowledge the perfection in the chaos. The way to a peaceful life is to notice the perfection in God's world and in ourselves, and nurture the perspective. Robert Browning's wife, Elizabeth Barrett Browning, wrote 2 lines in My Kate that nicely sums up all of this. The weak and the gentle, the ribald and rude, she took as she found them and did them all good. When you look out with wide eyes of wonder and appreciate all that you see as a gift from the divine creator of all, including your own life working in harmony with nature, you will know what the poet meant when he wrote, God's in his heaven, all's right with the world. Or as I like to say, the divine creator of all's in the essence of creation, and all's right with the world. To adopt this metaphysical optimism, begin to 1. Give yourself a gift of 5 minutes of contemplation in awe of everything you see around you. Go outside and turn your attention to the many miracles around you. This 5-minute a day regime of appreciation and gratitude will help you to focus your life in awe. Allow the word perfection to be a part of your vocabulary. From the Prince of Peace, be ye peaceful, even as your Creator, which is in heaven, is perfect. You don't always have to perceive yourself and the world from the perspective of judging it and trying to improve it. Enjoying the perfection is one way to apply the wisdom of the ages. Remind yourself that you are just as much of a miracle as that dew, lark, and snail. You, in fact, are what the divine creator is doing. Trust in and value your own divinity as well as your connection to nature, Seeing the divine creator's work every place will be your reward. Many do not believe in the state of perfection. And I personally feel that's because a lot of people don't want to have to hold the responsibility of living up to being more than they believe they can be. They don't have they don't like to have a standard of how they operate in life. And so I see it with many individuals that I deal with on a daily basis, because as you grow spiritually, you grow consciously into the little things. Because the only way you can learn to truly appreciate the little things is to notice and observe the little things. So when you start to notice that people don't remember what they say 5 seconds after saying it, and it can happen, especially if you're distracted. Many people are usually on the phone while on the phone, or things of that nature that draw in their attention. But there's something to say about individuals who carelessly go through life not recalling any moment to moment aspect of how they've interacted with every other individual or nature or just their own actions, that the heaviest part is, how long have you been operating like this? It takes a lot to deal with individuals who are practically NPCs. They only notice and recall the negative. You can have a conversation with them, and in conversation, they will literally not recall what they said, but can dial back on years and years and years of negative trauma that's been holding them in the place that they say they don't want to be in. Therein, that itself prevents them from striving towards perfection. And in reality, my perfection would not be the same as yours. I feel I operate to a level of perfection within myself of maneuvering in a way that I acknowledge I'm correct or right and honorable, and Iwa Pele are good character. Now, there are other individuals who outside of me would still say that I have stuff to work on. And granted, I do, because perfection is something that you strive for daily. If you wake up and are in a state of perfection, you probably wouldn't even be here on this realm or plane any longer, because this plane has a level of perfection. It's perfect in the order and dynamic of what it was structured to be. So if it is a place of chaos to teach you certain things as a school, then the chaos within itself is exactly perfect, exactly the way it is. But it's hard to observe chaos as perfection because of the multitude of things that tie in together for the inner workings to present the perfection of the chaos that teaches you lessons in your ill-informed choices, in your zealously made statements, in your daily functioning of just maneuvering through the chaos and not realizing that each and every individual has and is a level of a chaotic universe themselves. Now, when you bring all of these things together, because of the dynamic of how we were created individually, yes, it looks nothing close to perfect. But once you move to the state of an observer, you see the beauty and the perfection in everything that is working exactly as it is and as it should, for the divine purpose that is mysteriously spoken of as the divine creator, the universe, or however it's described, working in those mysterious ways to bring you to who you need to be. And if you miss it, then you just start over and come back again. It's just that simple. But the average individual doesn't want to accept that or believe that, because perfection is too much to operate in, because then you have to take the wheel yourself. So I ask and implore you to strive to work to a level of perfection within yourself. You don't have to telegraph it to anybody or let the world know that you're doing it. Those things that you know you need to work on, begin to work on them and watch your life shift. And watch people shift away. It's all a part of the necessary dynamic of life and perfection in a simulation of chaos. I appreciate you for being here, more so for yourself than for me. I ask that you walk in love, walk in light, walk in peace, and know that you are loved.